Everybody's here, I guess. More people, that's fine. So a majority of the buildings here have been renovated and restored to their former glory. As this area used to be the beating heart of the historical city center. So from the 11th century onwards, the trading activities got really increased on this both coasts, both harbors. It was basically about the wool trade here. The wool trade, it was such an important thing during the Middle Ages. In the bigger Flemish cities, in Belgium, around half the population, people were employed in this industry. So it was like more than half of the population, can you imagine? So, but beside that, there was another important trade. What could it be? One more very, very important trade here. Sorry?
Beer?
Beer was a result of this trade, let's say.
Spices? Herbs?
Like
grain?
Grain, yes, grain trade. Yeah. So, but remember, at the beginning I mentioned the land. It's very swampy here. You cannot grow any kind of crops. So if you cannot grow them, and if you don't have them by yourself, what you do? The most ethical thing: you steal it from the others. That's what we have been doing here for many centuries. Means all the grain imported into the county of Flanders had to pass through the inland port of Ghent, which is just right here. We are standing together. That way, Ghent could have imposed sort of a tax that would be the 25% of their grain. 25. It's a great amount. So in that time they counted Ghent had 225 grain stacking houses. So it's a lot. Anyway, when the sailors were arriving here, the first place would be the tax house that they would visit, which is very normal. And it's a little question to you. Guess which building could have been our tax house? And a little hint as well, which is across the river.
The little one?
Sorry?
The little one between the two?
Little one, yes, congratulations. Did you know about that?
No,
Or
I just figured it's probably...
All right, so great. Usually people are surprised, even they don't see that there is a building because it's so little. They think, oh, it's like a place of money, you need a big place, like money should pile up on top of each other. The main purpose was making it not so popular that people shouldn't have immediately known that it's a tax house because they were trying to steal the money there. Anyway, after paying their taxes, they wanted to get it back. They were attacking the building there. So it was broken down so many times. As it is very little, it was easy to rebuild it. That's the idea. So in my opinion, it looks like a little kid as well, who's protected by two parents there. So you see, so it's also helping. And the current building is dating back to the 17th century, which replaced another wooden one that wasn't able to survive because of the obvious reasons. And currently it's a little cute bar. You might say in some ways it's still tax house. So anyway, it might be open today. If you're enough lucky that you can get a free table there. So maybe then they would go to the next door on the left side of the tax house, written Kormeter house, which means the grain measurement house. They would measure this 25% of their grain inside this building, but afterwards from there walk all the way on the right side of the tax house, the stone building where they were storing their grain. So this building, it is the oldest property here, dating back to the 12th century. Super old, and believe me as well that it has oldest and nicest stepped gable in the world. And if you're watching it but more carefully, you will realize, especially some you guys from the Netherlands might know the answer fast, that the current facade is slightly leaning forward. Do you know why they have built it that way? The facade is leaning forward. No pressure, that's right. You're from the Netherlands, then you must know everything.
Something with water, maybe?
But they have built it that way.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not like a... I can leave you here and come back in 10 minutes. With my candies. Okay, it used to have a pulley system on the top. It was the most logical way of pulling up the grain bags, that they wouldn't bounce against the wall. If it just straight, it will just bounce and then it will get basically wasted. So that's the idea, very simple. But in the Netherlands it's very popular, you have a lot of this kind of buildings. So currently it's Manhattan's Burgers, which means I highly not recommend you going there, guys. So, you know, I will be super happy to recommend you some local restaurants in Ghent. So maybe a few other buildings before we move. The white building just right over there, which has a boat representation about the door. It used to be the guild hall of the free sailors. So the free sailors, they were mainly local people, hyper rich and very influential in politics here. So their main privilege was that they had the right of sailing freely over the rivers of Ghent, which will make sense in a second if we come to this side and then look at the white building there, which has a golden shape on the roof, wind vane. This building, it used to be the guild hall of the unfree sailors. The free sailors, unfree sailors, so they were mainly foreigner people, and they had to transfer their loads into the local ships at the edge of the city. They couldn't come that close. They could travel wherever they want, and they were also the ones who were controlling the ships of foreigners. That way, they could impose another kind of tax at the edge of the city, which makes them even more rich. Yeah. All right. It's clear. Yeah, about that. So I think it's fine as well. Then we can continue towards this direction. A little bit weird, but you are really staying here, no? That's not a joke. Okay. Notice them. Do they look like a little bit weird? How do we usually see swans? More facing each other, yeah, making this symbol of love, like a monogamy, being together forever, like this kind of things. But in this case, they are facing quite a bit opposite. People mostly comment about them that they look a little bit like angry, desperate, you know. So I'm not sure if it's really just about that. So it will make sense in a second. During the Middle Ages, when people couldn't write, but first, sorry, I have to mention that these two swans are telling us something about the history of the building. So during the Middle Ages, when people couldn't write, people couldn't read, before the houses were having numbers, everything was symbolized, well, with symbols. So if you would be in a bar during the Middle Ages and you would like to order a bottle of beer for yourself, and you would write down that X or XX or XXX, you know, you could continue basically. So it will show the alcohol percentage of your beer. So, and I also show you this white building there, which has a boat representation. So in historical sites, it's very common that you see a lot of visuals about their gates, because those kind of visuals were helping the people to navigate their daily life. So if you come to here, in our case, the swan on my right, it represents beer. On my right, it represents woman. There is no correlation, but it's unfortunately history. So imagine this was a bustling harbor here. A lot of sailors are arriving here, and they were on long journeys on sea for several months, huh? Plus, like, I mean, just grain bags and plus some goats, who knows. And then coming here, doing all this boring administrative job. Afterwards, they needed some fun. I guess I don't have to ask what is meaning of this building, but before you answer, I can give you a little clue. When the sailors were arriving here, the first thing wasn't writing a letter to their mom. Who would like to answer what is meaning of this building? Might be a silly question.
It's a whorehouse.
Boom boom.
Brothel, you said?
Brothel, yeah.
Brothel. Yes, I'm happy you didn't scream like a whorehouse. You know? All right, so we have to be very discreet because there are so many honeymooners inside that they don't know anything about that. I don't know if it's your case, guys. No? Okay. So anyway, you know, it's not written on their webpage that about the history, but it's just history, huh? The current building, it's not connected to this at all. And when the company was converting it into a Marriott hotel, that they asked the city, can we please get rid of these two swans? And then they said, no, it's not possible because it's in a monumental building. And then they asked again, can we at least like switch them, change the position, then they would face each other, make the symbol of love. And they said, we have to think about it. And then they answered, if you're going to pay us 1 million euros, that is possible. So then the answer is just right here. Yeah. All right. So this kind of brothels were very popular during the Middle Ages. Actually, also one you can find in Bruges, also in the Netherlands. In some cities you can see that. But don't worry. The current building, its history is not connected to that. Yeah. But it's hotel. So. All right.
That's hilarious.
এখানেও দেশি রেস্টুরেন্ট দেখে ফেললাম, ভারতীয়রা সব জায়গায় ছড়িয়ে গেছে।